For most of the last 2 decades, Nissan has been a fixture in Australia's top 5 car brands. The X-Trail, the Navara, the Qashqai household names sitting on driveways in every state and territory in this country. In 2026, Nissan fell out of Australia's top 10 entirely. Not a temporary dip, not a single bad quarter. Care Expert reported the brand's sales down 7% year-on-year, with the decline pushing it out of the national top 10, and other industry data through the year showed the figure running as steep as 44.7% at points. Nissan's own Oceania leadership has openly discussed the scale of what has happened, in language that goes well beyond the usual corporate spin. This is not just another brand losing market share to Chinese competitors, although that is part of it. This is a global manufacturer that scuttled a planned merger with Honda in early 2025, has been forced to shutter factories, and has launched an emergency turnaround plan with a name that tells you everything about how serious the situation became. Nissan. We tracked the full story, what caused the collapse, what it means for the thousands of Australians who already own a Nissan, and the surprising plan the company is now betting its future on. Here is exactly what happened. To understand what happened to Nissan in Australia, you need to understand what was happening to Nissan globally, because the local collapse is a direct consequence of decisions made at the very top of the company. In early 2025, Nissan and Honda were in serious merger talks, a deal that would have combined 2 of Japan's largest manufacturers to better compete against the wave of Chinese brands disrupting markets worldwide, Australia included. That merger collapsed. Nissan was left to face the same competitive pressure alone, at a moment when its balance sheet could least afford it. Cars Guide's reporting in May 2026 did not soften the language. It described Nissan's financial position as a slide into oblivion serious enough that the company was forced to shutter some of its factories and lean more heavily than ever on its Chinese joint venture with Dongfeng simply to keep new product coming. The turnaround plan that emerged from this crisis was named Nissan, an acknowledgement built into the name itself that the company needed to rebuild from close to the foundations. US tariffs added further damage to the bottom line during the same period. For Nissan Australia, sitting at the end of a global supply chain that was simultaneously underfunded and disrupted. The local sales collapse was not really a local story at all. It was the visible Australian symptom of a genuine global crisis. Here is what the crisis meant for specific models already on Australian roads. The Nissan Juke was discontinued in Australia. Cars Guide's own description of the model on its way out was blunt, relatively unpopular. The Kicks, a model currently sold only in Japan, has been flagged as the most likely eventual replacement, but nothing is confirmed for Australian arrival or timing. Juke owners are currently sitting with a discontinued model from a brand mid-crisis with no confirmed direct replacement on the local market. The Pathfinder's future in Australia is similarly unclear. Reporting points to the incoming NX8, a large 3-row plug-in hybrid SUV sourced through the Dongfeng joint venture, as its most likely eventual successor. Until that arrives and is confirmed for Australia, Pathfinder owners are in the same position as Juke owners, a vehicle whose brand is mid-restructure, with a direct replacement still unconfirmed. The Qashqai is moving to a hybrid-only e-Power lineup for 2026 as Nissan tries to chase down Toyota and Hyundai in the small SUV segment. That is a genuine product improvement. But it arrives at the same time the model's overall Australian sales have been reported down as much as 78% year-on-year, meaning the better product is launching into a market that has, for now, largely stopped paying attention to the badge. This channel tracks the Australian car market before most owners find out what is happening to their brand. Subscribe now. Every video we publish could save you thousands of dollars. Here is where the story becomes genuinely more interesting than a simple collapse narrative, because Nissan's actual response is not retreat. It is a deliberate, fast-moving pivot toward Chinese-sourced product, mirroring a strategy Mazda is also pursuing with its own upcoming Chinese-built EV. The centerpiece is the Nissan Frontier Pro plug-in hybrid ute, essentially a rebadged Dongfeng Z9, built by the Zhengzhou Nissan joint venture in China, delivering a genuinely serious 300 kilowatts of power and 800 newton meters of torque. It is a direct, purpose-built competitor to the BYD Shark 6, the Ford Ranger PHEV, and the GWM Canon Alpha PHEV, confirmed for Australia and expected to be sold alongside the new Navara rather than replacing it. That new Navara, internally coded D27, arrived in Australian showrooms in the first quarter of 2026, built on Mitsubishi Triton underpinnings as part of the broader Nissan-Mitsubishi-Renault alliance, and sold exclusively as a diesel 4x4 with an automatic transmission. A new Patrol is confirmed for early 2027, dropping its long-running V8 for a downsized turbocharged V6, a significant shift for one of Nissan's most traditional and historically conservative nameplates. Beyond the utes, Nissan's Oceania Managing Director Andrew Humberstone has confirmed the company is looking at every source of product it has access to, globally including the NX8 plug-in hybrid SUV. And the N6 and N7, Nissan's first passenger cars in this market since the unsuccessful Pulsar range, was discontinued back in 2017. And the most recent data suggests the worst may genuinely be behind the brand. Cars Guide's headline in May 2026 was direct: Nissan bounces off rock bottom. The company posted promising early results from the new Frontier Pro, the updated Leaf, and the upcoming kicks, alongside smaller declines than expected in both Japan and North America for the most recent financial quarter. Andrew Humberstone has been candid about what the rebuild actually requires. His own words: "We've had a lot of work to do, one on building brand, one on building customer retention. And in between, the key component is around sourcing product." He has been equally direct that a number of Nissan's products were reduced in terms of supply chain, but also in terms of profitability language that confirms what the sales data already showed. Nissan was not just losing customers, it was struggling to build the cars it needed to sell them. New warranty and after-sales programs introduced earlier in 2026 are part of the same rebuild, an explicit attempt to rebuild the customer trust that thinned out during the worst of the crisis. So, what does all of this actually mean if you currently own a Nissan? If you own a Juke or a Pathfinder, you own a discontinued model from a brand that has just been through the most serious crisis in its recent history, with no confirmed direct local replacement. That does not mean parts or servicing disappear overnight. Nissan's dealer network remains active across the country. But the resale trajectory for these two models specifically is the most exposed on this list, and the window to capture remaining value is now rather than later. If you own a current X-Trail or Qashqai, you own a model that is part of a genuine, well-funded renewal, new hybrid technology, new warranty support, and a manufacturer that is now visibly investing in winning back trust rather than coasting. The brand-level uncertainty still applies to resale in the short term, but the product itself is moving in the right direction. And if you own a Navara from the outgoing generation, the arrival of the new D27 model built on proven Triton underpinnings as part of the broader alliance is a genuinely reassuring signal for parts and platform longevity, even as the brand around it continues its broader rebuild. The benchmark on this channel has not changed. The Toyota RAV4 Hybrid retained 81 to 84% of its value at 3 years, according to Canstar's Red Book analysis. No failed merger behind it, no factory closures, no emergency turnaround plan with its own internal name. Just 3 decades of consistent product, consistent profitability, and a dealer network that has never had to ask whether it would still exist in 12 months. Nissan's story in Australia in 2026 is not a simple one. It fell out of the national top 10 for what industry reporting suggests may be a permanent shift in this market structure. That collapse traces directly back to a failed merger, a genuine global financial crisis, and factories that had to close. But the company's response are fast. China-sourced product offensive led by a genuinely competitive plug-in hybrid ute, alongside early signs the worst quarter-on-quarter declines are now behind it, means this is a brand in the middle of a turnaround attempt, not a brand that has given up. If you own a Nissan, watch which category you fall into. If you are considering one, know exactly what you are buying into. Subscribe now. Every week we track exactly what is happening inside the Australian car market before it shows up in your trade-in offer.